Yes, I would. Yeah, interesting. Don't know. It may come. It may happen any time. I've no immediate plans.
I'm curious of why you haven't done more writing.
Well, writing for me was, I'm afraid, the means to the end of directing. I began as somebody dealing in pictorial terms, in cartoon terms, and in visuals. And appears in my time I worked as a production designer, and even here, when I'm talking about screenwriting, I mean, one of the things that I keep saying is that writing, and I know this is very difficult to persuade you as a writer about, is that writing for the screen is the space between the lines. It is not the words. It is the impulse before the words. To me, the language, the film grammar, which is the thing that I'm concerned with, the language that people who don't know about writing do, in fact, understand immediately, is what I'm interested in. If we are in the McLuhan age, in which the kids of today, before they can spell or read, are exposed to the language of the moving picture image on the box, if that is the literacy of today, I think what we do at a school like this is that we try to teach people what it is that they are reading as they read the images by the analysis of films, and teach them literary of expression in the medium as they use 8mm or portback videotape cameras or whatever it is. We teach them to speak back to this language in which they are all being educated. And I think that I have some sympathy with the McLuhan attitude that we are in the post-literate period.
I'm fascinated by your attitude to the subtext of film dialogue, the sort of thing you were saying about the televised Watergate hearing.
I was looking at the exchange between Howard Baker, the senator, when he was asking, I've forgotten her name, the secretary of Liddy, and she was claiming, probably quite justifiably, that when she had typed out the reports of the bugging in the Watergate, she had no idea of what it is that she was typing. Hard to believe in some way. The secretaries will tell you it's true. At the same time, secretaries, I think, are naturally curious people and like to know what it is that they're typing. But he said, is this what you're telling me, Miss so-and-so? And she said, yes. And he looked at her, and she looked back. And he said, all right, well, now what happened in those gaps were, first, the editor, smart, cut away on, is this what you're telling me? So that, is this what you're telling me, would cut to her, and that was over a close shot of her. And you saw her prepare her answer. What shall I say? And then she closed up and said, just yes, and you went back to Baker. And Baker looked at her and said, I don't believe a word of what you're saying. And you went back to her, and she said, you may not, that's all I'm going to say. And you went back to Baker, who said, cool one, not going to get anything out of her. Okay, let's go ahead. Now, the silences, the unspoken language in that exchange, is the language of television and video, and is the language that we know better even than words.
And, of course, it is also capable of interpretation, because that is your interpretation of the silences, but someone else may have interpreted the silences in a totally different way.
Oh, well, forgive me. The interpretation I got from the man whose finger was on the button doing the switching.
Precisely.
Because I got what he read into it.
And what he meant you to read.
Indeed, absolutely. And this is the skill that I think students had better learn at a film school.
And you think you can teach this?
This great question as to what you can teach is a curious one. You certainly can learn it. What I can do is provide the circumstances in which the student can learn, and a few you can teach. But really, you learn by doing, which is the great philosophy here. And if, in fact, if their fingers can be on the button, if they can play with this and explore, that's how you learn. You learn by experience, and all I can do is to guide their experience.